The farmhouse loomed, a silhouette against the dying light. Sarah shivered, clutching her jacket tighter. Each gust of wind seemed to whisper a warning, unheard but deeply felt. The old house, her grandmother's pride and joy, now stood desolate, shrouded in an unsettling silence. Stepping inside, Sarah felt a chill, and not just from the autumn air. The musty scent of disuse hung heavy, a stark contrast to the lavender and baking bread that once defined the house. Dust-laden furniture sat draped in white sheets, like ghosts themselves, echoing the emptiness that had settled in the wake of her grandmother's passing. The silence was unnerving. It pressed against her, heavy and expectant. Sarah moved through the house, each creaking floorboard and rustling curtain sending a tremor of fear through her. The house, once filled with warmth and laughter, now felt cold, a stranger to its own history. The first night was the hardest. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind against the window pane sent her heart racing. Sleep came in fitful bursts, punctuated by unsettling dreams and a growing sense of unease. Sarah tried to shake off the feeling, telling herself it was just grief, the strangeness of being alone in her grandmother's house. Days turned into a blur of sorting through old photographs and letters, each one a poignant reminder of the life lived and lost within these walls. Yet a constant undercurrent of anxiety thrummed beneath the surface of her mourning. Objects moved inexplicably, lights flickered, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, her every move scrutinized by unseen eyes. The whispers started subtly, a murmur at the edge of hearing. At first, Sarah dismissed them as the wind playing tricks, but as the days passed, the whispers grew bolder, more insistent. They seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, carrying hints of conversations, fragments of memories, all laced with a chilling undercurrent of sorrow. One evening, while poring over her grandmother's diaries, Sarah stumbled upon a passage that sent a chill down her spine. The house, it breathes with its own memories, her grandmother had written, her elegant script shaky and hurried. Sometimes late at night I hear them whispering, the echoes of lives lived and lost. That night, sleep was impossible. The whispers seemed louder, swirling around her like a malevolent wind. The shadows in the room seemed to writhe and twist, taking on menacing shapes. Sarah lay frozen beneath the covers, fear a leaden weight in her stomach. She felt a presence in the room, cold and heavy, pressing down on her chest, stealing her breath. Panic clawed at her throat, her mind conjuring images from her grandmother's words. The house, she realized with a sickening certainty, was not empty. It was alive with something else, something ancient and hungry. The next morning, Sarah found herself drawn to the one room her grandmother had always forbidden her from entering, the attic. The door, usually locked, stood slightly ajar as if inviting her in. A sense of foreboding washed over her, yet curiosity, a need to understand the unsettling events of the past few days, outweighed her fear. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed the door open. The air inside was thick with dust and the pungent aroma of decay. The only light came from a small, dusty window casting long, eerie shadows across the cluttered space. Old furniture, trunks and boxes were piled haphazardly, each one a silent testament to forgotten memories. As her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she noticed something peculiar. In the far corner, partially hidden by a moth-eaten tapestry, was a rocking chair swaying gently back and forth as if propelled by an unseen hand. The rhythmic creaking of the chair filled the silence, each squeak a chilling echo of a life lived and lost. Sarah approached the rocking chair cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. The air around it seemed to crackle with an unseen energy. As she drew closer, she noticed a faint scent of lavender, the same scent that always clung to her grandmother. Suddenly, the rocking chair stopped as abruptly as it had started. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of Sarah's own ragged breathing. She felt a cold spot on her skin as though someone had walked over her grave. Turning to leave, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Scratched into the dusty floorboards, almost invisible beneath a layer of grime, were 3 words. Don't trust her. The message, etched with a desperation that sent shivers down her spine, was clearly a warning. But from whom? And who was she not supposed to trust? Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences continued. The whispers, the flickering lights, the feeling of being watched, all became a terrifying part of Sarah's new reality. The scent of lavender, once a comforting reminder of her grandmother, now filled her with dread, a constant reminder of the unseen presence that shared the house with her. She tried to rationalize it, to explain away the events as tricks of her imagination, fueled by grief and the isolation of the old house. But deep down, a primal fear told her otherwise. The house was alive, not with malice, but with a deep, unyielding sorrow that permeated every inch of its being. One evening, while searching for an old photo album, Sarah stumbled upon a hidden compartment in her grandmother's writing desk. Inside, she found a stack of letters bound together with a faded ribbon. They were love letters, passionate and filled with longing, but they were not addressed to her grandfather. The letters told a story of forbidden love, a secret romance between her grandmother and a young woman named Eliza, a woman her grandmother's family had deemed unsuitable. The letters were filled with a yearning that transcended time, each word a testament to the depth of their love. But the letters ended abruptly, with a final, heart-wrenching note of despair. Sarah spent the night poring over the letters, piecing together the fragments of a love story cut tragically short. As dawn broke, she felt a profound sadness for her grandmother, a woman forced to live a lie, her true love denied. It was then that Sarah understood the sorrow that clung to the house, the whispers that echoed through the halls. It was the lingering grief of a love lost, a heart forever broken. That afternoon, drawn by an invisible force, Sarah found herself back in the attic. The rocking chair swayed gently, as if beckoning her closer. She stood before it, the weight of her grandmother's unspoken pain heavy on her heart. Eliza, she whispered, the name feeling both foreign and familiar on her lips. As she spoke the name, the air grew cold, and a gust of wind slammed the attic door shut. The rocking chair creaked violently, its gentle sway becoming frantic. The scent of lavender, overpowering now, filled the air, and Sarah felt a presence beside her, cold and ethereal. Fear threatened to consume her, but she stood her ground. This was not a malevolent entity, she realized, but a heartbroken soul seeking solace, longing to be heard. Closing her eyes, Sarah began to speak, sharing her grandmother's story, the love she had been forced to deny, the pain she had carried for a lifetime. As she spoke, the air grew still, the rocking chair slowing to a gentle stop. The scent of lavender faded, replaced by a sense of peace that settled over the attic like a soft blanket. When Sarah opened her eyes, she felt a lightness, as if a weight had been lifted from the house and from her own heart. Sarah never saw or heard anything unusual in the house again. The whispers ceased, the lights stopped flickering, and the oppressive atmosphere of sorrow lifted, replaced by a comforting sense of peace. She finished settling her grandmother's affairs and prepared to leave the farmhouse, her heart heavy but at ease. Standing on the porch, she took one last look at the old house, its silhouette stark against the setting sun. It no longer felt menacing or haunted, but rather melancholic, a testament to a love story lost and found. Sarah knew she wasn't leaving an empty house behind, but one finally at peace with its past. As she drove away, the setting sun casting long shadows behind her, Sarah realized that sometimes the most terrifying things are not the things that go bump in the night, but the secrets we keep hidden, the loves we deny, and the ghosts of our past that we refuse to face. And sometimes the only way to find peace is to confront those ghosts and embrace the solitude they leave behind.